Hello, good morning, and happy Friday, everybody. I am so glad to be back. Yes, I'm back after almost a month. I was in doing different things in last 1 month. Somewhat related to business, somewhat related to fun. I had a vacation, and this is this is what I have been busy with. Well, today I'm back after a month, and I have so many things to cover, and especially in the medical practice area. So I'm going to talk about it in few minutes. Give me 1 second. Let me fix my LinkedIn and my devices because they both are running together. So let me fix this first. Okay, perfect. I hope you can hear me live. So my apologies. I was not able to connect with you earlier in last 1 month. But today I have a very, very interesting topic because a lot of things happened in last 1 month. And especially I have seen um, some of the patient lawsuits I have seen um, over a period of time on different clients. And one of the reasons I found that I should do this live so that it will help educate medical practices, and also it will help educate medical billers around the world. And I know there are a lot of medical billing friends I have who joined me from India. I have medical billers who are listening me here live. We have our Medical Billing Association, Healthcare Business Management Association. Our conference is coming in September. There might be members listening there live. So thank you very much for making my lives uh, very engaging for myself and for other people. I would appreciate if you have any messages and the questions, please leave it in the chat window so that I can answer them throughout my session. Technology, technology, and technology. But today, or in today's time, you must be hearing AI generated patient messaging, AI generated patient collections, AI generated patient statements, AI generated even appointment reminders, or you might be getting a calls from AI bots. So, all of that, and even the AI patient education material. All of these things are happening in the entire medical practice management world, especially in the United States, for two reasons. One, cost cutting across the board. Everybody is worried about the ever growing medical practice management cost, and especially for non-clinical functions. So people are really worried, what should we do? And that's the reason a lot of these solutions which are coming up replacing human beings and giving artificial intelligence solutions, offering standard tasks which have been traditionally done by front office or back office. Now, the most problems which are coming is because a lot of these front office staff used to do certain functions in a medical practice that are being replaced by AI. If you have seen the cost of a loan, I think I have done 3 sessions in the past. One was on pre-authorization, another one was on uh, top 7 or top 10 AI tools which people are using in the medical practices. And you can see all of these things on my LinkedIn previous history. You can go back and you can see some events. They are featured on my LinkedIn profile, and there are some on YouTube videos. But bottom line is then, if if the technology is good for a medical practice and people are ready to use it, embrace it, what are the kind of things which we should take care of, or we should kind of pay attention? Because artificial intelligence is important, but I always say human intelligence is more important. And human intelligence is to watch what artificial intelligence is doing. And that's where most of our people, most of the billers, most of the front office staff people, back office staff people, their job is to watch what is coming out of artificial intelligence. Now, today's topic especially comes out of patient lawsuits. Why patients are aggravated? Because you have to think from that perspective. Patients goes they of course they have a small reason to make some money because they are agitated, their bill is not right, or whoever has sent the statement may not have sent the statement at the right time. There are various reasons. Two or three most important reasons why patient get aggravated in today's time. I've come across like three main reasons. One, with the uh, with the help of all of these uh, AI functions, and if you see patients are receiving these statements, and when the patients are receiving these statements through either text or email, through patient portal, they are going on different time zones. So let's say if a patient is in LA 3 hours behind EST time, and if your billing company is in Florida or somewhere in EST time zone, then what will happen? The patient receives a text messaging as per EST time, or the technology solution which you have is not watching or not configured properly, and the messaging has been sent to a patient out of time zone, so other than 9 to 5 p.m., then it can create a red flag. And if the patient is smart enough, because as I said, human intelligence always supersedes artificial intelligence. So if patient is smart enough, he is going to pick that up, take it that statement to his attorney or a lawyer, and what he is going to do, he's going to find a loophole, and he's going to say, well, this is, and you might have sent just a patient reminder, you might have sent just a statement in an email or in a text, but the text which goes outside 9 to 5 time zone is considered into a collection effort. And for that reason, sometimes patient can come after you legally. And that's one of the biggest reason, because what happens, these are small claims, like patient owes only $200, $100, $300 co-pays or his deductible. And when he goes to an attorney, the cost of an attorney to him is nothing, zero. But if an attorney finds a way to charge him based on the contingency, then what is going to happen? What is going to happen is basically going to cost somebody the outcome of this is basically somebody is going to pay the cost of that attorney, and it has to be a medical practice. So in that scenario, that's one of the scenarios. Second scenario, which is very prevalent these days, which medical practices should definitely watch, and also medical billers should watch, is out of network claims. So what happens this now with the No Surprise Act, Billing Act, which has passed and implemented and acted last month. And no matter which state you are, you have to be very, very careful while sending an out of network bill to a patient. You can only send an out of network bill to a patient if you are legally not in network and you saw the patient in the hospital, and your insurance allows that payment, and there is a deductible legally for the patient. If it is not, you cannot submit out of network Surprise Billing Act. According to the Surprise Billing Act, you cannot submit a bill which is out of network, especially for patient portal. But while doing the billing or making payment posting, if your billing team does not take care of those things, and if he sends a bill which is out of network, and in hindsight, patient gets aggravated because it's $500 bill, which it should be like $50 bill. If he had been seen as an in-network patient, he can find a loophole and again go against you. So that's the second reason I talk about. So first one was like, the texting, messaging, going out of time zones. Second, the third one, and the second thing I talked about, the reason for aggravation is out of surprising bill act. The third and most important, which happens most of the time, is if there are accuracy issues and if there are errors in a payment posting, uh, and at the same time sending a statement, a wrong statement to a patient. Now, these things can happen if you use AI technology or artificial intelligence to post EOBs and then automatically apply the balance to the patient, and then the balance gets communicated to the patient through AI, through messaging, email, or patient portal, or whatever it is. This becomes a huge issue. I mean, it doesn't happen for all of the people, but let's say if it happens 10%, 2%, or 5% of the time, you are potentially exposed for a lawsuit. So here is the solution. What can you do, right? What are the things which you can do? We talked about it in the past about three or four things, but the most important thing I talked about is save yourself by using technology. And technology means there are only three ways you take the patient information. One, you person comes to walks into your medical practice and it's an in-person intake. Pre-appointment intake process has to be very, very smart, and it has to be conducted by a very senior person who understands everything. I know gone are the days you used to have like 20 pages, 10 pages forms, and patient used to fill it out. But sometimes when they fill it out, they may not understand it well, what every question is. So one way is set up a desk in your medical office when a senior person can take in-person intake forms, talk to the patient, understand it, and that results in huge patient satisfaction because patient can ask the questions, you can answer those questions, and it can really, really help out. So if you have a busy practice, you have a lot of patients coming into your medical practice, and every time you only have a window where somebody is sitting and talking to the patient. If you can afford it, you can have the desks where patients can be answered. Their patients' questions can be answered, and they can fill out the form in front of you. That's a one way of doing it. Second, phone intake form. So whoever is taking the patient information, where their current medications, allergies, medical, any implants, prescription, pharmacy, PCP information, anything, advanced directive opportunities, benefit of, all of those things. Either should have the person who is on the call should have enough patience to answer all those things and take it. Third thing which people started using is of course patient portal, which is the best way to capture that data. But now we see a lot of AI bots start calling patients and taking the information. And that's where I have the problem with, because not every time AI bots can explain well to the patients and patient can answer those questions well. So that's where today's sessions we are going to talk about it, that how it could result into a potential lawsuits if the patient doesn't understand it well, doesn't get engaged with the medical practice, and at the same time you start processing that data into the system. So pre-appointment intake process has to be very well documented. And whether you see the patient in the medical office or you see the patient in the hospital. Now, normally because hospitals have their own data, they have their own patient intake staff. But the problem is when you see the patient in an emergency clinic or emergency in the hospital or somewhere, and you are not able to get the correct data about that patient. And because of that, if patient is seen sometimes in network or out of network, kind of that thing. So that is very difficult. And in that scenario, you have to really, really see what are the options you have. So I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to give you about 7, 8 slides in my rest of the presentation, and I'm going to give you an advice what you can do as a medical practice, or as a medical pillar to avoid these lawsuits in your medical practice. So let's go jump on my slide presentation after this. Thank you very much for watching today's sessions. I'm going to now show you the slides. Okay, first and foremost, this is my favorite thing. You should have an adequate documentation. Maintain thorough and accurate documentation of all patient interactions. How can you do it? Like, this is the best part of technology. If you use a nice technology, you should have a HIPAA logs, and you should have every time stamping for every action which has happened in your EMR and practice management system. So you should be, really, really comfortable doing that. So you should have a medical records, treatment plans, and informed consent forms, any communication with the patient, clear and comprehensive documentation. It can help support your defense if in case of a lawsuit. So I understand the cost of doing this may be a little higher, but please review this, your documentation, that you have enough documentation to protect yourself. It is more relevant in today's environment than past. Second, communication and informed consent. So make sure you have established an effective communication channels with patients to ensure they understand their diagnosis, treatment options, potential risks. They obtain, your staff obtain information, informed consent for procedures, treatments, and they should clearly explaining the benefits, limitations, and potential complications, even if it is involved. And I would go one more ahead on this communication and think, if you are using a patient portal, you basically inviting a third party to capture the data. If you're using artificial intelligence, again, you are inviting a third party to capture this data. If you're doing this and if you're large enough, then make sure you understand all the communication which that artificial intelligence tool is processing on your behalf. And at the same time, your attorney also sees that communication. So sometimes what happens, whatever this AI company or billing company or any company whose solution you're using, you simply try to use that, and sometimes it doesn't work very well. So in that kind of scenario, my suggestion would be to have the person look at it, and then when they look at it, they should be able to do it very well. I am not sure if you're able to hear me or not. Okay, can you hear me? Okay, so I hope. Okay, overlays, so show lower. Okay, let me see if I can. Okay, I hope now you can probably listen me very well. Can you? Okay. So it is very important that you talk about it. We spoke about it. So we spoke about adequate documentation. We spoke about communication and informed consent. Which is very important. And then the third thing I'm going to talk about is the wait one second. Compliance with the standards and regulations. So stay up to date with applicable laws, regulations, and industry standards to ensure your medical practice operate in compliance. And in today's world, when we are talking about AI and technology, I would not um, discount use of a good cybersecurity firm, or consult with your IT team who does your annual security checkup. If you don't have an annual CSR, security checkup, because you are mandated by Medicare that you should have a once a year security analysis of your network, your entire computers and network. So talk to the lawyer, talk to them, and make sure your data is protected, your privacy of your patients is protected, you're following, maintaining appropriate credentials, and you are following, established best practices in your medical care, not from the clinical perspective, but for the non-clinical perspective, how to protect the data of a patient and keep it, under compliance. So that is very important. So we talked about adequate documentation, we talked about communication and informed consent, and the third thing, compliance with the standards and regulations, and fourth, most important, continuous education and training. Now here I would cover, this should be across the board in your office, medical office, your continuous education and training. And one thing you can actually use is chat gpt for your continuous training and training. I have used it. It's a great tool. It's an AI tool, for training and education of your staff. You can use it. It gives you all, well informed about the latest medical advancements, standard of care, patient safety protocols, and it will help minimize the errors, and it will enhance the quality of patient care. So so make sure your staff has proper continuous education and training, and it can be done twice a year or maybe at least once a year, because listen, Medicare rules are changing every year. So if you don't have proper education and training for those medical tools, you can literally kind of, can be behind, and your patients can be much more smarter using AI technology to learn how to sue you, rather than, you better learn it by yourself first. So continuous education and training is very important. Number four, quality assurance and risk management. So, quality assurance and risk management, implement comprehensive quality assurance programs. And you can work with all of those things either with the external consultants, and or your insurance company should be able to help, protect against, potential financial losses resulting from lawsuits. So I know there is a professional liability insurance which is going to cover this, but the problem is, you might have a professional liability insurance where your deductible is 7,500 and more. Now, guess what? Most of these lawsuits which comes from the patients are less than $5,000. And when it comes, most of the attorneys try to settle those charges. So if it is just a $200 balance resulted into $5,000 lawsuit or a settlement, you're not going to file it with your professional liability insurance, because if you file it, your insurance will go up. So insurance do help if you have a larger lawsuits, but here we are talking about the smaller lawsuits where patients just get irritated for any reason in your medical practice, and then he started looking at the avenues to sue you. Well, of course they can leave a bad review in your thing, but more than that. So quality assurance and risk management, it basically identifies those potential vulnerabilities and, areas of improvement already in your medical practice. And you can find like third party consultants, they can come in, charge you one time once a year, and they can do all of that quality assurance and risk management for you. For another six one, professional liability insurance. You should have a professional liability insurance. I would suggest have a $0 deductibles, because what happens now, the kind of lawsuits which are increasing, it's a smaller in amount. And if you can afford to have a professional liability insurance with $0 deductibles, that would take care of these lawsuits. So I would suggest work with your liability insurance coverage company, talk to them, and have a minimum, whatever the minimum deductible you can buy. Seven, and most important thing, because I'm a big fan of this, patient satisfaction and complaint resolution. Prioritize patient satisfaction. Patient satisfaction is extremely, extremely important, because it provides, if you provide a high quality care, I always say medical practice is just like any other business where patient satisfaction is at most important. So you have to address those concerns. Once you render patient care to the medical practice, no matter whether you have seen a patient in a medical emergency room, you should have a contact information of that patient, whether email or phone or something. And then if you don't have an email, you can't send a electronic form, Google form, for the patients to fill it out. Well, have your front office staff call patient and talk to them. How are they feeling? Do they have any questions? Is there any complaints they have? Any grievances? Because that is your best bet. If something is going on in patient's mind, you can solve that right then and there. So this is your protection from this thing. Legal counsel and guidance, what I suggest, most of the problems, you should talk to your attorney or a lawyer at least once a year, and let him go through all of your documentations, point of context, touch points which touches a patient's life. So even your messaging, your patient statement, your regular forms, let him review it, because every year Medicare rules are changing. So they need to review your contracts, policies, procedures, even your billing agreement you have with your third party billing companies, or even any kind of contracts you have with your vendors, with your IT vendors, with your security vendors, cyber security vendors. Let them go through this. This is worth spending few $1,000s on just a cross check or review contracts on an attorney, rather than paying him potentially when the lawsuit happens. So remember, it is very important to consult with legal professionals and insurance providers to understand the specific safeguards. So today, what I'm talking about, I'm just covering, the top, very basic things what you should do, but you should definitely talk to a lawyer, a healthcare attorney, and for specific safeguards and strategies relevant to your medical practice, because laws, regulation, they may vary based upon your jurisdiction, location, specialty, all of those things. But these are the standard things what you should be doing, and my best wishes to you. I really wish these things would have been avoided in a much better and a smoother way. Most of the time, settlement happens. Hey, what? This is what happens with the patients and practices, but it is very time consuming. And if we can take some safeguards, if we can protect our practices with the use of AI technology and some human intelligence, then we don't need to worry about those things. So with this, I would give you I would say thank you very much for watching my this 30-minute session today. I would leave with just this one thought: use AI intelligence, use technology, but also use your human intelligence, because that's most important. So thank you very much and have a great day.